Yeah. Uptown. Yeah, yo, we kicking it live. Vince and Stevie D, OWSPORTS Podcast is the place to be. Bills Mafia, repping the red, white, and blue. No doubt with Josh Allen, just stand up and shout. Gang green, coming with that New York flair. Jets in the mix, you know they taking it there. The rivalry is fierce, but they keep it 100. Legends in the making, pressure never stunted. From MetLife to Highmark, bright lights when the night's dark. Touchdown, dream, steel beams, leave a big spark. Bills and Jets, we clash on the field, but on this podcast, we keep it sealed. Respect for the game, we all in the zone. Vince and Stevie D, we holding our own. So tune in tight, don't miss a beat. OW Sports, where the real ones meet. Sit back.
It's OW Sports, the fastest growing podcast about the Buffalo Bills and New York Jets. You get the best takes, the most engaging interviews, and they are always keeping it real. So sit back, relax, and get ready to talk some NFL. Now here's your hosts, Vince and Stevie D.
And welcome back to another edition of Official Word Sports. I am Vince. I'm here with my co-host Stevie D, and we do apologize. We are late to the party. We are kind of late like the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets were to Week 5 in the NFL. Yes, Stevie D, both of our teams were late to the party. And so I do apologize. Some things in life had to make some quick adjustments. Stevie D, I'm looking at, are you in a sports bar?
Well, the bar is over there. So, no, this is the revamped basement, right? And I'm trying to change up my luck, get out of the podcast room, trying to mix up mojo to see if I can get a Jets of victory here on Sunday morning, because it's rough. So, I got the Yankee game going on. I got a little hockey, some basketball going on in the back. And so we'll see if it changes some luck.
I like it.
NFL Blitz.
I see it. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Well, you may have me captivated looking over your shoulder at that Yankee Jays game, but we have a jam-packed show tonight, because there's a lot going on. There's Rob. Hey, Rob. There's a lot going on in the NFL. Besides the debacles that have taken place this past Sunday. But let's get started. When we started, or when the league started, and we jumped in on this, we asked the question, why? What sense did it make? And I'm talking about the Cleveland Browns having Joe Flacco as their starting quarterback. And then they had Kenny Pickett, and then you draft Dylan Gabriel, and then you draft Shedeur Sanders. What sense did that make? Well, look, Stevie D, you're getting a lot of love over there for the command center. What sense did it make? And so now we find ourselves a quarter into the season, and now they're doing what they should have done in the very beginning. You don't have a Super. Did it take them 5 games to realize that there was not a Super Bowl run?
No, but I think we talked about this, right? Like Joe, like some teams, they have a quarterback that goes to a certain point, and then you turn it over to the kids once they feel that they're ready to take the reins. So instead of throwing them to the Wolves week 1, you give them X amount of weeks to kind of get into the grind of the practices and the game speed, watching it from the sideline, listening from the headset, and then you turn it over. I think that was their game plan all along. But I think there was a particular play 2 weeks ago that I think Kevin Stefanski, whatever his last name is.
Stefanski.
Yeah, thank you. I keep thinking of Kevin. Do you remember the baseball thing, the Kevin Umansky's baseball video with I get confused between those two names. Right? But I think there was a couple plays in that game and a couple throws that he made that I think Kevin stepped back and said, you know what, if this is what we're going to get, we have to move over to the kids. And then they pulled that trigger.
So. Well, when I look at it overall, it was definitely, in my opinion, it was a good move. Um, there was a little bit of debate where Shador kind of stayed in the whole pecking order, right? You had made reference last week where he wasn't dressed; he was the third quarterback, the emergency quarterback. And so then, the news today, which shouldn't be a surprise, was that Shador is going to be quarterback number 2. One thing that we had discussed, and I think
Well, if I can correct you for a second, I don't know if you heard, because they asked the coach today. He's not sure if Shador is going to be number 2 or number 3 this week.
so. Then I heard that he was going to be 2.
I heard, I watched the press conference.
Okay,
So he said that he did not want to put Shador. He didn't mention Shador's name, but he said he didn't want to put the young man in a spot where he's not going to succeed. So he's going back, and they're thinking about it. So maybe that's some gamesmanship.
sure.
Get your opponent, because you don't want to know who your number 2 is and who you may have to game plan. A more athletic Shador Sanders or an older Bailey Zappi who's really more one dimensional.
But what we talked about, and that really should be where their focus is, right? Or probably where their focus is. Shador comes with the media attention, and now you have Dylan Gabriel, where there's a lot of pressure on him, as a rookie in the NFL, rookie quarterback, a lot of pressure just being a quarterback in the NFL.
Yep.
And now you have a guy who is directly behind you, right? It didn't really matter as much when Flacco was there because you knew Flacco was going to be the starter. But now, if you have Shador at number 2, first of all, the fans always love the backup quarterback, right? And now you have a guy who, in some circles, people say he outplayed you, and he has been outplaying you. And so now you're constantly looking over his shoulder. So now you have Stefanski having to deal with the media and the fans. You have Gabriel having to deal with the media and the fans, all calling for Shador. You really want to keep that at bay as much as possible. I don't know, right? We're not locked into the Cleveland Browns. We're not at their practices, day in and day out to really be able to say who has done well. And it's also very difficult when you talk about taking the difference between first team reps, second team reps, and practice squad reps. I will say this, though. I thought Dylan Gabriel acquitted himself okay for his first NFL start. I thought
And
that
I took some notes on that game too that I want to get in front of me.
I thought his stat line may have been a little bit deceiving, but his stat line certainly didn't hurt him, especially from the court of public opinion. And so you said you had some stats in there. Go ahead.
Well, he was 19 of 33, right? He had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no fumbles. So from that perspective, when you think of 19 of 33, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, you'd say, not bad for a rookie first start in the league, right? One, I thought their running back, what's up, Craig? And what's up, JT and Rob? Junkins had a heck of a game, and I think his game, and Ford, the RB2, I thought played well, which allowed Dylan to have a good game. But I watched the condensed version a couple of times because I wanted to see a little bit more about Dylan Gabriel. Because I got to be honest with you, I didn't see much of him in college, so I didn't. I know he went to Oregon. That's pretty much all I knew. I had him down for 4 good throws in that game. Out of his 19 completions, he had. I thought the first touchdown was a little out, about a 2-yard out, but he put it in a really good spot where it wasn't behind the receiver. Kind of led him to the ball. And it was an easy touchdown. You had to be an idiot to miss it, but I'll give him that because it was really good ball placement. He had a really nice throw to Njoku on a first down when they were in the 2 minute drive before the end of the first half. He had a really nice throw. Kind of placed it over the defender. It was more like a sideline throw. It was a really nice throw by Gabriel. Then he had another nice throw to Njoku with a rush right in his face. It's like the guy came unblocked and right in his face, and I thought he threw around that pass rush real good, and it was a good pass to Njoku. And then I thought he had a nice second touchdown pass. That one was really the nice one where he kind of zipped that in a tight window there and got the touchdown. Now, what I accounted for was 1, 2. I'm not going to go every missed throw, but he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 throws that I counted that was subpar throws in the game. Again, am I killing him? He only had 14 incompletions, but out of those, there was about 4 of those 7 that were really what I call a non-competitive throw, where you didn't give your receiver any ounce of ability to catch that ball. I mean, you overthrew it by 12 yards. You threw it out of bounds by 7. Just bad throws in the game. Again, first start overall, not bad, but since we're breaking it down and I took the opportunity to look at it, Craig, just because your team finished in last place, no comments from the peanut gallery today. Okay. When you guys get out of last place, then you can talk. We like to call that the ghosts of Yankee Stadium. And you should know all about the ghosts of Yankee Stadium. I mean, I don't know how that kid reached over the fence back in '96.
Jeffrey Mayer? Is that Jeffrey Mayer?
Right. I don't know how that happened. I was at that game. Just saying. I think the ghost hit me in the back of the head as they were rushing back onto the field for certain things. So, yeah. So I didn't think Gabriel. I didn't think he was awful. I thought he played well. He had some sacks. He didn't kill himself with sacks where he was running backwards and taking a 15-yard loss. Where we see a lot of rookie quarterbacks do that in the league. They think they can outrush these linemen, and you learn real quick. Those linemen are just as fast as you, if not faster. Right. So it really doesn't work all that well at times. So,
Stevie D, when I look at Gabriel, and we're not going to say too much on this one, but when I look at Gabriel, you're talking about a 4-star recruit coming out of college or coming out of high school. I'm sorry. He goes to UCF, Central Florida, right? And from there, he transfers to Oklahoma. Now, here's where I remember him in college, but I never was enamored with him in his play. I have no problem with a quarterback transferring from a UCF to an Oklahoma, right? Now you're in Power 4 now, right? You're playing at Power 4. And then you transfer as a starting quarterback, you transfer to Oregon. As a GM, I have red flags all over the place. Because if you're at a Power 4 school and you are that good, you're not going to transfer. If you are a quarterback at a Power 4 school, there's nobody that's going to replace you unless you're not that good. Just keep that in mind, people. And yes, one man's junk is another man's treasure. So, or Oregon, they wanted you and you were able to go there. I question sometimes when the players transfer, the amount of times the players transfer. The Buffalo Bills have one in Ray Davis. Guy transferred 4 different times. You shouldn't have to transfer. I'll give you the initial, right? You maybe you go to JUCO and you transfer in, and now you can, right. But somebody's got to see you. And once they see you, then they want you. But once you've made it to one of those power schools, you shouldn't have to transfer unless your game isn't all that. And, his backup transferred too. But I think there's a reason why he transferred, right? He went to an HBCU, really put Jackson State on the map. All right, good there. But you were also playing for your father who took a job at a Power 5 school. And so then you transferred there. But that was it. There was no, I'm going to Colorado. Okay, now I'm going to transfer to Kentucky. It wasn't like that. It's that in itself is gives me cause for concern. Not to mention,
You think that in the interview process, when teams were interviewing, well, maybe they don't interview a fourth round pick like that, but I wonder if people ask that question to him.
oh, I'm sure I would. Well, we're going to talk about that of what I would expect to have happen, right? Because I think that we all have expectations of what things that should happen, right? And they don't always happen that way. So, to answer your question, you know, now I'm at a loss. They tell us that they do certain things. We would expect them to do certain things. That would be a question that I would ask. It's like a job interview, right?
Right.
That's the question you would ask. Why did you transfer? What happened? I would know all about, who your replacement was at Oklahoma. Was he didn't seem better than you? Why did you leave? Right? Maybe you were a malcontent. Maybe they were like, you got to go. So who knows? But with all that being said, especially to be able to get this far and guys being able to realize their dream, I don't wish anything bad for him. I hope the kid goes out there and continues to develop and is a good quarterback. I also, for Shador's sake, hope that the competition is fair. And I'm not a Stefanski fan. I'm not. And so I don't know how well that competition was set for both quarterbacks to compete. So we'll see. Other things happening in the NFL, it just seemed like there were update notifications coming left and right, Stevie D, of trades and of player acquisitions. And wait, just so that people, let people take a peek behind the curtain. We have a little chat that goes on, basically just talking about all the stuff in the NFL. And this guy over there was really starting to put me on the edge.
I just reporting the news.
That's what he says, right? That's what he calls it. Oh, I'm just reporting the news. Well, you can soften the blow. You know that I need help. I have been asking for help for months now. I have the worst tandem at safety in the NFL.
Again,
And
I'm just reporting the news of who's off the table.
And I have been calling for Brandon Beane to make a move. And then here comes Stevie D. Oh, breaking news. We have a trade. And when it first comes across, I'm thinking, okay. Where are my bills? I didn't see my bills. And Craig, who do we see? We see the Ravens in there. I was like, you got to be kidding me. The Ravens just seemed like they were just active, right?
Well, I think I wonder, and I'd love to Craig to chime in, if Kyle Hamilton's injury is much worse than first thought, and it's forcing the Ravens to make a trade.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, well, so now think about this. And first you had the trade. So they traded with the Chargers for Gilman, safety Gilman. But that didn't stop right there. Breaking news. Ravens signed Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Are you kidding me? So you mean that you were able to acquire a player from another team to help your team? And not only that, you looked and you scoured the free agent market and found a guy. But hold on, Stevie D. What do they say? But wait, there's more. They signed a guy who the Houston Texans will be paying his 2025 salary.
He does come with baggage. I'm sorry. He does come with baggage.
He does.
There's a reason why he got cut out of Houston. There's a reason why Philly moved off twice, and there's a reason why Detroit moved off from him. So, but when you're desperate, sometimes you have to make a desperate move because you got to fill a hole, and so you'll deal with the erraticness if that were to come to.
There, Stevie D, I'm going to tell you, there is not one championship team, I don't care what sport it is, that is made up with a group of choir boys.
Yeah, that's right. But I'm just saying something to cut a player and take that hit. You just signed him 6 months ago. So you're not really cutting him for play on the field. Something more has to be going on in that clubhouse for that team to eat that money. You have to go to the owner and say, we effed up and we now have to cut this guy. And so, but again, when you're desperate and you need bodies, sometimes you're going to take a chance and hopefully it works out.
But see, and that's where I'll say sometimes I think it's more than that, though, Stevie D. I mean,
Right.
look at a Dennis Rodman with the Chicago Bulls, right? It was more than just needing a body. You get a guy that can come in and play. Look at Aaron Hernandez, right? You draft a guy like that, and you can go up and down every single championship team. There are guys there that are more than just the 52nd or 53rd. They're going to bring, more often than not, these guys are good for a reason, and it's up to that coach, that leader of those men, to be able to find a way. Charles Haley, we saw the documentary on the Cowboys. Charles Haley was given all kinds of fits with the 49ers.
Yep.
But they knew how to talk to him. They knew how to relate to him. And then next thing you know, he's dominating. Where other people are like, I can't deal with it. Players in the locker, I can't deal with it. No, you find a way to communicate to this guy. And now what do you have? You have a stud that's in there. I'm just saying, you have to take that chance. You have to go for it if there's talent. Now, is he old and washed up? No. I think he's more of a head case than anything else.
Yeah.
But I look at it, and if you want to have a bunch of choir boys, then we know the deal. Craig, you going to town in here? I can't keep up with you. Bernard Poller.
Well, that's a good name.
Robin is for yeah. You are correct. Rob.
It seems like that guy's always available. I don't know. Is it just me?
No, because he's waiting for a call from the 716 area code. He's getting calls from 404 and 212 and all over the map. I feel remember that song I got in different area codes. We're not the After Dark show, so I decided to leave omit a certain word, but he's waiting for a phone call, and he's like, nope, and he may still be waiting. So rolling the dice there, Justin Simmons. Anyways, so it was very active there in the NFL, and so I just hope that Brandon Beane does something. You got to do something. Anyways, more that's happening in the NFL. I heard, and if this is the way the NFL is going to do it, good for the guy, bad luck for the NFL. So in the debacle of Sunday night, there was an incident. We'll even call it a play because Mike Tirico decided to call play-by-play from the booth, right? So a fan catches a ball that first row of the stands.
Milano. He's all over the place, that guy.
Yeah, he is. And then the guy catches it, and he's like, I got to go. hits the stairs, and Tirico is calling it. And I think Collinsworth was thrown off by the whole thing because he's like, and he just got quiet, and you hear Tirico. He's up the stairs, and blah blah blah. Well,
He's got a lead blocker with Allen over out front.
long story short, what has come out, and CBD, correct me if you've heard different, but the NFL was like, oh no, no, you can't take our ball.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Now, again, I need to really confirm that because
Well, the guy came on. The guy did an interview on it, and he said that in past games, when Bulls have gone into the stands, they've made him give it back. Not him,
Yep.
but people in general.
Yep.
So
Yep.
he made a pact with his wife that if one of us get a ball, we're going straight to the car. And that's exactly what he did. He caught the ball and he took off and watched the rest of the game from his car, or listened to it on his car, and he left his wife. He gave the wife the signal from the stands, and he was gone. Right? And honestly, it's poor by any sports team to say you have 9 billion of those footballs.
Yes, you do.
If you then tell, and it's not a knock on Josh Allen, it's going to sound like it's not. Then tell your quarterback not to throw it in the stands, because when it goes in the stands, it's fair game. Same thing with a kicker. If a kicker kicks it over the net, kicks it wide, it goes in the stands, it's fair game, right? If a puck goes in the stands, a baseball goes in the stands, okay, maybe not a basketball, because I don't know how often that goes in the stands, but you got to eat it as a sports team. I don't know what the big deal is. That's why I don't believe it. That's why I have a hard time believing that.
Well, I have a hard time with that story as well, because we have seen players throw the ball in the stands after a touchdown.
From what I understand, the players have to play for that football. And the reason why I say that is that a buddy of mine got a football from the late Dennis Byrd at training camp in '92. And I heard him say something of, what else do you want? And he said, well, I love a football. And he got him the football, and he said, yep, I got to pay for this one. So evidently the team charges if you're giveaway footballs. They charge you whatever the value of that football is. So that was 30 years ago. I don't know if it's changed now, but at least it was 30 years ago. So I wouldn't be surprised if a player gets a touchdown, throws it in the stands, that he's charged for that football. With Josh Allen, it's not going to get charged for that football.
They should be giving that away, just on the pure fact that you are the biggest brand. You print money. Just makes no sense.
But I give that guy credit, man. He hauled. He's like, all right. He gave a little signal to his wife. I'm going.
He did. All right, CBD. The last thing that we want to talk about is a story that has been developing for many months, and kind of the updates have been fast and furious. What I'm talking about is Kyron Lacey, and I think at this point, a lot of us know some parts of the story, and unfortunately, I'm going to say this. None of us know the whole story. So I think we need to be careful with that. I dropped a couple of Easter eggs early on when we talked about Dylan Gabriel and the questions that were asked, in the pre-draft process. Because for Kyron Lacey, for those who don't know, the accusations against him was that he was responsible for a vehicular homicide, and that there was an impending indictment that was going to come down, and he was facing some severe jail time. All of this had taken place post his college season, his college career, and pre-combine. And when this did take place, this young man who had just turned 24, um, then ended up taking his own life. And his lawyer had vowed to, because his lawyer absolutely believed in him that his guilt, responsibility, what have you, was not there. And he said that he would vow to kind of make sure that his legacy wasn't tarnished. And he fought this all the way through. Again, where I want to be careful, we talk about we don't know. So there's a lot, Stevie D, that we really don't know. But what we do know, when the NFL says that they are investigating, when the NFL says that they looked into Matt Araiza, right? When the NFL said that they looked into Ray Rice, or they looked into Tariq Hill, or anybody, right? They say that they have their crack staff that's doing the investigation. We now have to question that in its entirety, because they say it time in and time again that they have their crew investigating. But if you really investigated this, if you truly did, then you would have seen some evidence that was now released to the public that would have given you a pause. And you say, oh, here's a guy that we were ready to extend an invite. We thought we shouldn't, but after completing our investigation, young man, you are welcome to come to the invite. We understand that you have a situation you have to deal with, but you're welcome to come to the invite, because he was that good in order to be extended that invite. He wasn't a fringe player by any stretch. Go
Well,
ahead.
it's really to your point about one. There's where's the I'm innocent until proven guilty. So he's not part of the NFL. Yes, it's an event for the NFL. How the NFL can say you're not invited when I'm not on an exemption list, no matter what. I mean, I understand what you're saying about the investigation. If they went into the investigation and only looked at it from one side of the story and they said, "Oh, we're going to let him go," then the NFL really, really obviously failed, because you can't look at a story from one side. You have to go from multiple angles to try and get the scope. Again, they're not a jury, right? They just have to collect information from many different sources, trust no one in the process, get your independent information, get your police information, and then form an intelligent decision to do what you think is in the best interest of the shield, right? Now, what?
Well,
Yeah.
hold on. To your point, where I think the NFL, first of all, I think the NFL lies to us day in and day out. CTE, everything else, they lie to us. But in this situation, I don't think that the NFL really wants to be part of the story. And I think in their mind, we're just going to go ahead and let this play out, regardless of guilt or innocence. Right? You talk about innocent before, or presumed innocent, right? But they didn't want to be involved, and they just gave us lip service that they did do something when they really didn't.
Do we know if the NFL met with the young man and his attorney face to face to explain the incident, or what happened?
Yeah, that we don't have. We just know that they did not extend the invite,
Okay.
and they said that they looked into it.
Yeah, they probably looked into it. They called the local police department, and they said, "What do you have on this accident?" And they told them what they had, and they probably said, "Oh, it's good enough," because not right or wrong, probably the wrong more than the right, is that because he was not on their payroll,
Right.
that they probably thought that that was good enough. And hopefully the NFL learned a valuable lesson from this when it all comes out and it's finalized, that you can't do a half-ass investigation on a draftee, right? Because this story just breaks your heart the more it comes out in the last few days. It's just from anger right? You have anger because a young man took his life for something that he had nothing to do with it, because he didn't want to live with the so-called shame of that, because he never could shed that. And that's why, I mean, I'm speculating, right? But that's, to me, why he took his life. And that's the extreme tragedy in everything. Obviously, there's much more to the story that we can go down in that path. I don't know if we're going to go down that path, but from an NFL, it is disheartening that if you say you do an investigation and you do a half-ass investigation and you don't get the true facts, or really try and dig to get the facts.
So
I think they were so concerned about a distraction at the combine.
it's about image.
Yes.
It's about image. At the end
Because
of
you
the
may have
day,
people protesting it, being outside protesting, and they just didn't want that around the combine.
but but I go back to Arezia. It's image, and I'm concerned. We already know how weak the NFLPA is. They're very weak, right? Worst in all of professional sports. I know this young man was not on a roster. I get that. So technically, he's not part of the union. But you have somebody who is on the verge. On the verge. There has to be some semblance of assistance that you can. It's not like he was a fringe guy where, if you were a fifth round pick, you could go from fifth to sixth to seventh to being an undrafted and maybe never even get a shot, right? It's not like this kid was coming off of an injury where you're like, oh boy, that you really wrecked your knee in college. Willis McGahee, who Buffalo decides that they're going to draft first because they see a phone call going on. But something like that, where all of a sudden your stock starts to fall. I could see where the Players Association was like, well, once you get drafted or once you're on a team, then we got you. But here's a guy that was right there. It's going to happen. It's not if, it's when. So can't you show good faith support to this young man? Can't you fight back against the NFL and say, hey, this young man has worked his entire life to get to this point. You say that you've done some research. We also had a crew that did some research, and I'm going to tell you right now, the facts that we have totally contradict the charges that are being levied against this guy. We'd like for you to give him the opportunity at least to participate while the legal system continues. And then, obviously, if things do not fall his way, then, what we tried. That's a union. That's sticking up for your guy. This is a guy that would have been paying his dues into the union. How do you not do that from a union perspective? They didn't do it for
Because he's not in the union. Because he's
What's
just
that?
not in the union. He's just not in the union. There's no signed contract to go and fight for that individual.
And I agree with it, but shouldn't there be? I guess my point to you, my question to you, shouldn't there be the exception for some guys? Some guys, yes. Some guys, no.
I don't know if you can. On some guys, yes. Some guys, no.
Like
I don't know.
I'll throw it back with Arezia, right? So
I'm just talking about unions in general.
Sure.
Obviously, a professional sports union is different than like when my dad was working at the airport and with his local, right? It's two different union types. I mean, obviously, these guys are going on to the pros and are going to make millions and millions of dollars, right? And so it's not the same. If you're not signed yet, you have no protections from the union, right?
Right.
I don't know. I struggle with it. I understand your point, right? It's not that I disagree with the point.
Sure.
It's just I think just not a signed contract. So I don't know what they're fighting for and who they're fighting for if they're not in the union yet. And
Sure.
I just think it's more embarrassing by the NFL because of now when everything's going to come out. The sad part is, did the NFL unknowingly assist this man in committing suicide.
There's blood on somebody's.
Because right, yes, because I lost my NFL dream. I wasn't invited to the combine. I couldn't show mom, dad, I didn't do this. I wasn't there. I'm telling you, I wasn't there. Right, and then the NFL turns their back, say no to the combine. Obviously, he's not drafted because he's not at the combine, and then the news breaks of what happened. And so, yeah, the NFL does have blood on their hands because if they did the proper homework, maybe the young man is able to go to the combine. And the NFL says, "Look, this is murky. There's something off here. Yeah, we're not going to put him on an exemption list. You're free to draft him unless something really goes to the other, right?" And then the NFL teams can then say yes or no to draft him.
So I'll say this too, CBD. When you read and watch this story, I try to be with the best. I'm a man's man, right? You hold your emotions intact. I ran the gamut of emotions with this story. I did. I was upset. I was sad. I didn't shed a tear, but it was one of those type of moments where you could shed a tear. I was happy that there was somebody that was fighting for him, because so often, I mean, this is not unique, but so often situations like this will occur, and there's nobody there to fight for you. There's nobody to make sure that your name is not tarnished. And so, from that perspective, his lawyer continuing that fight, he gets all the kudos in the world for this guy. The sadness and the anger you think about when we are young kids, right? We play this game, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever it is, cricket, right? We play these games because we enjoy the sport and for the fun of it. And then next thing you know, you realize, I'm better than the kids in the neighborhood, right? And then we play a little bit more organized, and you realize I'm better than these guys. And then all of a sudden it starts to, and we all have it when we're a kid. I want to play in the NFL. I want to play in MLB. I want to be a Buffalo Bill. I want to be a Yankee, what have you. And you keep getting better, and you're still at the top where you make it to a school like LSU at wide receiver, playing alongside, Chase and Jefferson and all these guys. You're with them. You're their brother. And now you have a shot. And the path that they have created and laid down certainly makes it a lot easier for you to get in, because everybody's looking at you as wide receiver you, right? And you're on the precipice of being able to take that next step, and it is just pulled and yanked from you.
Yeah, I want to rewind about 90 seconds ago when you talked about, your feelings on him. And I didn't want to interrupt, but I wanted to go back to it. As a dad, my heart breaks for his mother and father. Heart breaks for their mother and father. Because as a parent, you're there to protect your child. And I'm sure they tried every which way to help protect their child after the incident. And I'm darn sure that their parents had his back 150,000%, right? That their son didn't do it, but they couldn't help him. And as a parent, my heart breaks that they have to live with that. Because I look at it as, what if that was my son in a spot like that? Like, wow, right? And look, we're going to continue to follow this case, and to where we get true factual data that comes out that somebody can't say you're making something up or you're twisting it or slander this or that. But I do want to follow this case because I do have strong feelings about what I'm hearing, and I think you and I both do, right? I'm not that I want to speak for both of us, but we both have strong feelings on this, and it is something that we'd want to talk about because it's just a sad story in my heart. Obviously, bleeds for the young man who took his own life, but for his family because
Yeah.
they're the ones left behind that have to think about this every day. It's going to consume them every day.
Yep.
And that's not even fair. You can't put a price tag on that, right? You can go after the town, whatever the case may be, but all that money doesn't mean a hill of beans. You just do it out of anger because somebody's going to pay to make sure that these things don't happen, but yet they can never hug, kiss, see that any potential grandchildren, have a daughter-in-law, the whole nine. They got robbed.
So, in fairness, in something that you said, right? Facts matter, and we will definitely continue to follow this. There are a lot of things that are swirling through my head, right? We don't make OW Sports a political show, so I'm holding back on some of the things that are going through my head, but I'm also holding back because facts do matter. I have an idea based on history. I have an idea, right? But it's not fair to either side to really speak on certain things. I certainly we can't speak on the failure of the NFL because they failed 100%. Because even if there's a doubt, the NFL should have been able to have that there. Um, and of course, there's always the the defense now, right? And so it's kind of like you had Kyron was on the defense and his lawyer counterpunched for him and took the offense or went on the offensive. And now you have, based on the offensive move by the lawyer, now you have the police department in conjunction with the state because they all started to huddle really quick. Stevie D when
Yes,
that
they did.
they all started to huddle, right? Zoom and Teams and everything. I mean, it was burning up in Louisiana. Um, but now they've come out with their statements, right? And they're trying to dispute what was coming out. The video doesn't lie. The video doesn't lie. Unfortunately, we do not have the complete video time frame. We can see certain things that happen in one video. And that's why I think the best that we can do for right now is what we've done to make sure that people understand and take time to go out and read and watch about what happened. Have an open mind. Looks like we lost DVD for a second there. Not sure exactly what happened there. Oh, he's back. But
I think I'm taxing the network at the house, and it said okay because everything kind of glitched over here for a second.
okay. Uh, but what we ask is that you have an open mind, right? No matter what, just read and listen and watch before you formulate an opinion. And that's what we're trying to do, right? Certain things, yes, you can say, because I will always point the finger at Roger because I don't think that Roger has the best interest in the league. It's all about greasing his pockets. Let's understand from the police side what they have. But also understand that everybody's always going to put themselves in the best light. Nobody is going to come out and say, "Oh no, you're right. Yeah, we just assumed, and it was presumed." but I'm going to tell you, if this was a boxing match, I mean, they just landed a combination with an uppercut that just staggered the state of Louisiana. They are completely on the ropes here, Stevie D. And so it will be interesting to see what ends up happening. Our commitment is that we're going to continue to follow this through. A couple other comments here. Rob says his father is on social media advocating, reaching out to your children. Find a way to connect with your kids and talk about depression, etc. No, for sure. For sure. Good to see you. I saw you live. Had to say hi. It's Christina. All right. And so, yeah, that is our commitment to all of you, and that's our challenge to you as well, right? So as we bring back this topic, this discussion, and Rob, I definitely saw that you have posted some comments. Let's all continue to make this open dialogue for a multitude of reasons, but let's make this open dialogue, and let's talk about facts. Let's not talk about opinions or emotions. Let's just talk about facts. And as we talk about facts, DVD, I want to talk about the fact that my blood is still boiling from Sunday night.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I really don't.
I'm with you, Craig.
Yeah, Craig.
I'm with you. My blood is still boiling. I mentioned on Rapid Reactions, DVD, I don't mind losing. I don't like it. But I don't mind losing when I know that we've given our best effort.
There it is right there. Best effort.
Don't mind it. Because then you tip your cap to the other guy and you say, you know what, today was your day. Right? I have to get better, and I will listen to and I will accept statements of, we have to watch the film, we have to get better. I will listen to that and I will appreciate that. But when you don't give your best effort, when your coaches don't do what they're supposed to do, and you expect us to believe that crap that you're trying to pass off out there, that's when my blood boils, Stevie D. And there's some words that I really want to say, and my 85-year-old mother may be watching, and I don't want to. I gotta be careful.
Family friendly.
Yeah, because there's some stuff I want to say. In a much calmer, tamer perspective, Stevie D. I keep thinking about something that I said, and it really is starting to resonate. I truly believe that Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, Joe Brady, Bobby Babbage, all the rest of the coaches, I believe that they looked at that schedule before the Bills played the Ravens, and they said, let's see. We have the Ravens, but we have it at home. So it's 50-50. They're a good team. We're a good team. But we're at home. We have a shot. But if we lose, that's okay. Because you look at the rest of the schedule in their minds, they're saying, well, we got the Jets. We feel we're better than them. We have the Dolphins. We feel we're better than them. We have the Saints. We feel we're better than them. We have the Patriots. We feel we're better than them. And we have the Falcons before the bye. So they're looking at this saying, before the bye, if our only loss is to the Ravens, we're in the driver's seat. Then you beat the Ravens, where you really weren't prepared in the first half, right? I don't know what you were doing. It required Josh to do something. Plus, the Ravens have kind of been exposed a little bit, right? So everything kind of worked out, and you get the victory. Now they feel they're playing with house money. Then they play the Jets. And they were able to dominate that game with the Jets. And now they're thinking in their mind, okay, we're good. We're better than what we thought we were. And I think that they decided, Stevie D, they decided that they're going to use this first half to the bye week as their true preseason. Because if you watch the play calling, if you watch the roster alignments that they have in there, you're not putting the best 53 out on the field, nor are you putting the best 53 in a position or putting your 53 in a position to be successful. That's what they have been doing for at least the last 2 to 3 weeks. They have been doing what you would normally do in preseason games, Stevie D. In preseason. And so when I watch this, I can't think and I can't say that Sean McDermott is a dumb guy. I can't say that Joe Brady is a dumb guy. I can't say that for Bobby Babbage. I can't say those things. These guys are intelligent. They're good. They got to where they are now by having good minds.
Right.
But I think they think that we don't have good minds. I think they think we're not intelligent. You make certain roster moves in a season because you have to, not because you are trying to experiment or you want to. And when it's the want to do something, that's because, and when you're experimenting, that's because we call it a trap game. You could call it whatever. I'm saying you're taking it for granted. There's no way that James Cook has 15 yards rushing. And I'm giving you credit, Joe Brady, and I'm giving you credit, Sean McDermott, by saying you guys are smart to be in the position that you are. But there's no way that one of my blue chip players on my offense is only going to have 15 carries. There's no way that I am going to put a Ty Johnson or a Ray Davis out on the field at 1st and 10. They have a defined role. Ray Davis, what that defined role is, I have no idea. You shouldn't be on the team. Go transfer to another team like you always do. You can get out of here and bring in Frank Gore Jr. But still, there's a defined role. So when I see Ray Davis, 1st and 10, and I look back, my first thing is, oh, God, don't tell me something happened to Cook. Hey, he's just taking a knee with his helmet up. Not tired. He didn't run that far. So what are we doing? That's the play call? Does it make sense? On top of that, okay, maybe I'll be okay if I see you throw the ball to Ty Johnson. Maybe I'm okay with that. That was a play call. But you hand the ball off to him. I struggle with this. Help me here. If
You
I'm
pay
going
a
to
man, you pay a man to be your starting running back. You've given him top-notch money, and on 1st and 10, you're giving it to my running back 3. That's a 3rd down back.
Thank you. Help me here.
Yeah. Make it make sense?
Exactly. Then I see that you decide that you're going to run a tight end jet sweep. Make it make sense. Thank you for saying that. Make it make sense. Right? This one makes sense to me, but I don't agree with it.
Okay.
You sit down Elijah Moore, and really you've elevated Curtis Samuel. I will give you that roster move, who, by the way, should have been the person on the jet sweep, not Dawson Knox. Just putting that out there, Joe Brady. But I will give you that. So that, again, you're telling me that you're evaluating. You're doing talent evaluations. Why? Obviously, because Curtis Samuel, the best ability is?
Availability.
Which he's never. Right? And so we weren't able to see you in preseason. So now we're going to use week 5 of the NFL to evaluate the talent. That in essence, that's what you've told me the last 2 weeks. We want to see what you can do, which isn't much. And not only is it not much, maybe we're trying to set you up for a trade. Maybe that's Brandon Bean, I caught on to you. Stevie D, why? Why did I doubt? He's been looking for that safety. Rob, have no fear. We're good. We are good. So here, Stevie D, I figured it out. It's like the game of Clue.
You got to enlighten me here.
You know,
You
when you're a
think
kid,
that's going to bring you a safety?
yes,
Because you're showcasing those extra skills?
yes, that's what they're doing.
Okay.
It's the whole showcase. Why me of little faith? Right? I knew McBean knew what doing. They knew what they were doing. That's the only thing that makes sense, DVD. It's the only thing that makes sense. But let me, I don't want to belabor this because, again, we did talk about this, but here's where, again, the mentality. The Bills don't really consider their season starting until after the bye week. Why? Because you have players that are coming back off of injured reserve or players that are hurt, players that are suspended. Everybody after that bye week, that's going to be our 53. Get ready for the trade during the bye week. You heard it first on OWSPORTS.
Just so you know, you're cutting it kind of close.
Wait, oh yeah. But that's what they're writing out for. But at the end of the day, I really have to wonder. The effort was not there. I don't care if the coaches and the GM have this master plan. The effort's not there. You don't have players that are locked in. There were too many penalties in that game. Half of them shouldn't have been called in the first place. But that's okay. It's the false starts. It's the pre-snap penalties that you should have the zero of those. And we talk about that all the time. The pre-snap, that's your staying focused. The actual performance penalties, a holding or pass interference, etc. Right? Those are things that I can live with. I hate to say this, DVD, but I think we are watching the end of the career for Tre'Davious White, because in as much as Trey, he's meant a lot to the Buffalo Bills, right? And will always go down in history as part of the Patrick Mahomes trade. Will always, right? Was picked 27th because that was where we traded out from 10 to 27 with the Chiefs to give them Pat Mahomes, and we took Trey at 27. But after injury, and even though he's on the field and, you give it up to him, he's a gamer, gutting it out, whatever you want to say there. When you watch his play is indicative of a player that wants to be careful, that knows his limitations, and doesn't want to get beat deep, and is not really playing aggressive on the ball. That's not the same guy we saw when we first got him. He was up in your face. He was able to attack the ball. A lot of pass breakups, right? Now he has not a lot of pass breakups. He's got a lot of tackles because the wide receiver is catching the ball, and now he's able to tackle the guy. He keeps the guy in front of him. He's got a lot of tackles. Should never be that way. So we're definitely seeing that. Another thing that we are seeing, if we're being honest with ourselves, is the end of a career, or what should be the end of the career for Matt Milano. And these are hard things to say, Stevie D. These are hard things to say. These are two guys that I absolutely loved, right? Milano, I know you loved him because he's Italian. So
you don't have many in the NFL. So
I know that rings true to you. But these are guys that meant so much. But Milano is hurt again.
Is he? Oh, yes, right. I knew that.
He's hurt again. Now, the question is, did the Bills make the wrong choice and the wrong decision to bring him back too soon? Or is it just that his body can't withstand the rigors of the NFL? It's one or the other. So it's
It's
either
probably his body's breaking down.
and I think so too.
Yeah.
I think he got clearance, but it's just not going to be the same. And I hate that. I hate that no matter what team you're on. I hate when a guy has given all he can and he gets hurt, and then all of a sudden it just starts to snowball and it just doesn't stop. I hate that.
And you have to move on, like at the end of this year, because you got to have a guy there that you can try and depend on for 17 games in a perfect way. You'll be healthy. With Matt, it's just not happening. What, the last 3-4 years or so? It started off getting nickel and dimed. Well, it started off with big injuries, and this year seems like he's getting nickel and dimed with injury here, injury there.
And you're right. Just nickel and dime, and it won't stop.
Yeah,
You're like
against the Italians. They just want trying to keep the Italian down. It's BS. I don't know what the hell's going on here, but I want an investigation.
we will do so.
We get the players union on and do something here.
We will lead the charge. Shorts, reels, podcasts, phone calls, letters. We're gonna do whatever it takes in the name of my man Stevie D right now. So Stevie D, I'm not gonna belabor the point again. I my blood is still boiling. But there's one more thing I want to go into. Because you and I talked about this the other day. Now, you were talking about Justin Fields. I was talking about it in respect to Josh Allen.
Okay.
So I'm hearing constantly, seeing articles written, people talking about the Bills have to have a deep threat at wide receiver. They need to trade. They have to go get this guy that can stretch the field. But I really challenge anybody to just think for a few minutes about the maturation, what we call the maturation of Josh Allen, but look at it in a 360 view. And this is what we were talking about, right? So if we look at the Brian Dable days, if we look at the Ken Dorsey days, that ball was flying all over the field, right? You had long passes. It was just chuck it, right? Just drop back and throw it. People said that he had no touch on his short ball, right, or medium or intermediate ball, just because it's all he was doing, right? And it's feast or famine, risk versus reward. We talk about risk versus reward all the time. It's exciting. Just like, remember in baseball, they say chicks dig the long ball. Well, chicks dig the Hail Mary. They dig the deep pass. But just like the long ball in baseball, you could be like a Dave Kingman, right? You'll never be an MVP. You'll never be a champion, right? Because all you're doing is trying to go for the fence. You could be that same, the way Josh was, always looking to go deep, right, and make those exciting plays. And that was what was happening under Dorsey and Dable. Yeah, you got so far, but you could only really go so far. And it was realized high turnovers. We talk about always winning the turnover battle. We have to stop that. We have to control it, but yet we don't want to take away from the talent and the ability of our signal caller. Again, fans, no matter this is not agnostic to just the Bills. This is all 32 teams. You have to think about this. This is how we got here. So don't say that we need a deep threat, because what we have done is we have controlled Josh's game. Now, where we have a mistake is that you don't want to just keep it 100% in this box. And what I mean by that, you have the intermediate pass and you have the underneath pass. Okay? If I'm throwing those passes, the underneath, my accuracy and my completion rate is about 95%. My intermediate, I'm a good 70% in that range. Once you go beyond that, what are you? 30, 40%? That window gets really small and your interception rate goes up higher. That's why we don't see Josh with the interceptions like he had before, because now it's controlled. Same for Justin Fields, right? He's not turning the ball over. He may not be giving you what you want right this moment, but they've controlled his game so that they're trying to put him in the path to be successful. That's what Brady did. That's how Josh got the MVP.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, when you think of those throws, if you're completing 72% of your passes, you're moving the football,
exactly.
right? And if you look at the Patriots during their heyday with Tom Brady, how many times did they do these short passes that were 5 yards? Just you do two of those, it's first down. You move the chains. You're just moving the chains. You're moving the chains.
That's a great call out because they did it right. The Bills aren't doing it right, and I can't speak for your Jets, but the Bills aren't doing it right because yes, they controlled it in that 5 to 10 yard range, and they would just go right down the field. But they also would take the shot deep,
Yes, they would take a couple of shots a game deep to keep
and
everybody honest.
that holds them honest,
Yeah.
and that kind of clears the space. Now you have safeties that are coming up. It's not as easy. Take the shot. Do you have the players? I don't always have to have a Xavier Worthy.
Exactly, you don't. If you get the right coverage and the right game plan, because you got them in the right coverage, you're going to create that opportunity.
You scheme it up. It's very easy. If I'm in, I could go 4 wide. I could have a 3-1. I'm able to now have that safety start to shade over a little bit. Now I'm matched up 1-on-1.
It's your quarterback using his eyes to fake out the safety.
There
Right?
you go.
It's all part of it, of getting the safety off his spot to open up the other side for the play, right? So
there's a lot that goes into coaching. It's not the players. And you sign a guy. One last thing on this DVD, not a long point. You signed a guy who was known in his previous team for the deep ball. Talking about Joshua Palmer.
oh,
When he was with the Chargers, Mike Williams and Allen would be your intermediate pass. Your deep pass was always to Palmer. So when you say we don't have a deep there, we just signed a guy to do that. If he's not doing that with us now, he didn't get hurt. He's not disgruntled. That means it's the play calling, it's the coaching. Just let that sizzle in there. So, again, blood's still boiling, Stevie D. Blood won't stop boiling until Monday night, which I'm afraid of. I really am, because I think we're better. But I told you last week we're a fraud.
yeah, you did. You've said it multiple times, actually.
And you said, no, you're not. You're a good team. Well, a good team will find a way to bounce back.
Yeah, and I expect you guys to bounce back.
I don't. I expect us to bounce back coming out of the bye. I'm concerned about this game. I really am. Atlanta's not good. Penix is not ready. But you got Bijan, and Bijan's going to go absolutely berserk. For all you fantasy players going up against the worst run defense, take Bijan Robinson. Then all of a sudden, historically we've had problems with the tight end. Kyle Pitts, who has been garbage because we did not draft him, he would have been a Hall of Famer if he had been drafted by the Bills. But he's garbage. But he's going to have a big game. Drake London's going to have a big game. I'm worried, and I don't like to be Debbie Downer. I don't like to be that guy.
Well, I think, like you said, you just want to see some good, clean football, consistent, good, clean football. And when you haven't seen it, it does make you nervous. And then you give a game away to the Patriots because you didn't play Bills football, right? You had 3 turnovers. You didn't score 30 points. James Cook had 15 carries for 49 yards. It just wasn't Bills football. And so, sure, I could see where you're coming from. But maybe that it's going to light a fire under these players. And maybe it's going to light a fire under Joe Brady to make better plays, better play calls and get the right personnel on the field with the right plays. So sometimes you need a wake up call. You don't like losing a game like this, a conference game. Not that you're not going to win the division, but a division game, conference game. That when you're talking about jockeying for conference, it's just to have that loss that shouldn't be. That one hurts. And you and I talked about this just in general a couple of years ago when we said about the Tennessee game, right? Like that Tennessee game was going to come back to haunt you. You just hope that this game doesn't come back to haunt you later on down the road this year.
That's right. That's
Right.
right. So we'll see. Another night game. No guarantees on rapid reaction. Basically, here's how you know if there's going to be rapid reaction. If the Bills win, have a good night. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. If the Bills lose, we will see you live following the game.
Yeah, you'll see him live after the game. You will not see me. Obviously.
That is the best way to put it, right? So, all right, Stevie D. Rob has a question for you as we transition.
Okay. No. I don't think he is. I think this organization has a
Hold
plan.
on 1 second. Rob, you may get banned for asking a question like that. Stevie D, you have Rob's fate in your hands. We haven't threatened Rob with the banning in a while, right? And then you come with that one, Rob. I don't know. Go ahead, Stevie.
Well, I appreciate the question. Here's the deal, and actually, it's really a good question because Jet fans are losing their minds. Okay, at 0-5, they're losing their minds. You got half the fan base that wants him fired, and half the fan base is kind of more like me. Like the problem with the Jets, I think Steve Wilkes, it's passed him by. He needs to go. I think him as a play caller, being out of the league a year, and before he left, he wasn't good. His good days of being a defensive coordinator are years past. So I think he has to go, and we have to go in a different direction there. As far as AG, and I've said this before with any coach, I've seen it with Steve Wilkes in Arizona. It is hard to get rid of a coach after 1 year because, one, you're dealing with a roster that is not truly your own.
Yep.
So you're stuck with most players from the previous regime. And if you look at this group of players, I've said it on Jets Hangar a million times. I've said it on Jets posts from Jets, New York Jets Facebook thing. There's too much deadwood on this team. There's too many players on this team that are complacent, that lack discipline. And I use the word, there's a lot of players that are not coachable. Because what Aaron Glenn has been preaching is very different than Robert Saleh has been preaching. Where Robert Saleh was about the player, about making their money, and not talking about discipline or benching players or making changes because of the play on the field. Okay. Jet fans, some of these guys think, I'd rather have Robert Saleh. Dude, you're the same guy that was complaining the last 3 years that Robert Saleh should have been fired. So, right, there's a certain percentage of that. I just think they have players that are not coachable. Because if they were coachable, they would be listening and concentrating on not making these stupid pre-snap penalties, these stupid personal foul penalties that are killers. Killers. On third down, we are committing egregious penalties on third down that make no sense. No sense. Like, okay, you little hand checking, you get called for a penalty on third down. I can handle that. But when a quarterback is giving himself up and you're going for the knockout kill, I don't care that you're a rookie linebacker. You know the rules. You can't take that shot. You can't even give the look like you're going to take that shot. And what would have been a punt turns out to be a first down, and they drive and they score a touchdown. All because of that boneheaded play. right? And we had 14 penalties, 12 accepted. Again, people want to blame the coaching. What do we say in IT all the time? There's a reason why that happened. And you have to dig all the way through and look at your logs and dig in and have conversations to get all the way to the root of the problem. And to say it's Aaron Glenn's problem because he hasn't fixed that problem in 5 games, he's preaching it. He's taking players out of a game. They're not responding. So what does that tell me? The player has to go. So I do believe at the end of the year, there's going to be a huge roster shakeup. And Aaron Glenn knows deep down in those players that you have to go. And so people may say, well, why aren't you benching those players right now? Because our depth stinks. We don't have the depth to bench a Michael Clemens. We don't have it. Michael Clemens, he's one of the more goofy football players, uncoordinated players that I've ever seen run in the NFL. Just running down a play, I never seen a person run like this. He's out of position so often, but we don't have a choice because our depth on the defensive line is not there. Then I go to the rookie Barron, who, you know me, I don't make fun of many people from the University of Miami, but Barron, number 94, because most people probably know him from the number than his last name, he doesn't know what the heck he's doing on the defensive line. He's getting schooled. He can't even make a simple tackle. You're a big dude. You're like a big doofus because you can't make basic tackles. I got no use for you. And these are guys that are starting or in a rotation for a lot of snaps on the defense. And that's just on the defensive line. You go to the linebacker core, you got Jamien Sherwood that is lost. We paid him top money. He is lost as a middle linebacker. He doesn't get his players in position. I'm not saying you got to be C.J. Mosley. But when you have a C.J. Mosley that is a great communicator, gets his players, his teammates in position on the defensive plays, he's a coach on the field for you in that huddle when you're breaking, and now you don't have it, and you have Jamien Sherwood, who, man, you go back to my last podcast from last year, I was not a fan of Jamien Sherwood last year. I didn't say not to sign him, but I thought people look at him as he makes a tackle. That's great. But if you look at how poor our defense played in the communication and putting our players in the right spots, he was not that guy. He wasn't. And I was hoping maybe in the offseason they would teach him and he would be better because he was kind of thrown in the fire when CJ was hurt. So he kind of had to step into that role. So I thought maybe in the offseason through coaching and all that, he would see the light and be better. Not that case. Not that case at all. Right? And Quincy's hurt. Get it. Linebackers core, not very good. Then you go to the third level in our secondary. Our safeties have no idea what they're doing out there. None. Michael Carter got paid. Haven't seen him since he signed that contract. He's going to be cut at the end of the year. Now he's hurt with a concussion this week. And then you got Sauce, who I don't think he's playing necessarily awful. I think he's got to adjust his game for the NFL because he lets the guy catch the ball and then tries to swat it away. Instead of looking at the receiver to see what he's doing. This is the NFL, buddy. You may have been able to knock the ball away a lot in college. Or maybe you can do that against a second wide receiver 2 or 3. But if you're going up against the ones and you're going to travel the ones, those guys know how to catch the ball. That's the reason why they're number 1. And how about figuring out how to turn on the ball and swatting the ball away before he gets there? Or, I don't know, turning around and using your length and intercept the ball and get some turnovers here, right? So literally at all levels on defense, we stink. This team is going to give up 30 points a game for the remainder of the year. Now, people disagree on changing a scheme, okay? Changing scheme, right? This is the coach's scheme. But you can't go out like this every week and your defense is giving up 30 points a game and having 12 to 15 missed tackles a game, having no pass rush. Something has to give here. Great coaches adjust because they're dealt a bad hand. And sometimes for the short term, you have to change to the personnel you have, because you're going to make changes at the end of the year for people that better fit your scheme. Because even some of the free agents we brought
Do
in,
you?
what
Do you?
change? Yeah, look, great coach. We seen it with Bill Parcells with the Jets when Testaverde got hurt, and he tried it with a traditional quarterback with the backups, didn't work. When they brought in Ray Lucas, who's Ray Lucas being a quarterback in the NFL, they changed their offensive game plan on the fly with that change at Ray Lucas, and they finished the year with him. I believe they went 6-2 the final 8 games with Ray Lucas.
But
Maybe
different,
6-3. I could be off one game. Maybe 6-3 because they changed the whole offensive style to suit him. I'm just saying here on the defensive side, it's not working. It's not working unless you're just
different
tanking for the number
different
one
for you,
pick.
right? No, I'm saying it's different for you though, right? Because just like you said, you have Glenn, and whether or not you bring back Wilkes next year or not, but you have Glenn. He's coming in. To your point, he didn't bring his own guys.
Yeah.
This is his talent evaluation, so that he knows in this offseason who fits my scheme. If he changes,
No, fair, right? I look at it. Look, I hate losing.
sure,
Right?
sure,
I hate losing. Our offense is not built to score 30 points a game. If you look at the season, the only team that has not scored 30 was the Tampa Bay Bucks at 26. No, they scored, I'm sorry, 29. Right? They were right at 30. Yes, we've scored 30 points. We have scored in the 20s, but we've gotten garbage time in the fourth quarter because we've been blown out by so far. We've scored points that you probably wouldn't have gotten because of the prevent defense, right? So it's a little skewed when you look at your points per game, right? Yeah, we moved the ball. There's no doubt we're moving the football. We did it against the Cowboys early in the game. We're moving the football. And then what happens? In this particular game, Brees Hall fumbles the ball. He gets punched out from behind. Great play by the player. Again, I think he had the ball up a little high that allowed the punch through. If it's here, you can't punch it through. Just saying. Brees didn't expect somebody from the backside, and it happened. And that happened, and then all of a sudden, you saw the air go out, and now all of a sudden, we cannot move the ball with the same passion or validity that we did earlier. And it's like, oh, here we go again. Here we go again. And then the head is down, and we can't do anything. Up until we make that critical fumble, we're good moving the football. And then we go 2 quarters without doing anything. We get down by 3 scores. And then Matt Eberflus, the Todd Bowles, they go to a prevent defense. I think you guys did it. We wound up scoring a touchdown because you just want to get in game over. I want to get out healthy, just get the clock moving, and we get easy completions, we get some runs, and we get some touchdowns. All right. But that doesn't mean anything to me. And I think rational Jet fans that look at it say that's garbage yardage. Justin Fields' completion percentage is elevated. His yards per game is elevated because they're giving you basically 150 yards passing in the fourth quarter. I mean, let's keep it real, right? Blake Bortles was a fantasy god in Jackson for all those years because he would throw for 270 yards and 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter because his team stunk so bad they had such a huge lead. And I look at the Jets, that's what's happening. We're getting this garbage yards. Again, first quarter, maybe a little bit in the second quarter, we're moving until we create that fatal turnover on a fumble. And then we're like a turtle, we hide in the shell. And it's awful football. Besides, our defense can't get off the field because we can't stop anybody on third down. Third and long, just give them the first down. I'd rather go 3rd and 4. We're better at 3rd and 4 than we are anywhere at 3rd and 9 and longer. Just give them the first down because half the time it's on penalty, and half the time it is our secondary is out of position or whatever, and they get the first down. So the Jets are a total hot mess. But again, Rob, you asked a question. No, he's not on the hot seat. You have to give an opportunity. Yeah, they do, Rob. They
You are
absolutely
correct.
do.
You
I won a championship with Matthew Stafford in Detroit. And when he was in Detroit, I won my first championship on Yahoo because Matthew Stafford was the fourth quarter king one year when the team couldn't get out of the way. He was throwing for massive yards and touchdowns. So absolutely. But I don't think he's on the hot seat. I think this is part of the plan that not that you want to be 0-5 and I hate when people put the tank. They're not tanking. Nobody's tanking. I don't believe that for a second they're tanking. I just think he's trying to force his way and it's not working with certain players. They're not coachable and it's hurting us. And at the end of the day, those players will be gone. I do think the Jets are going to be very active at the trade deadline. I think there's going to be players that have value that teams see that maybe they will help them and they'll be gone.
got a safety?
You don't want Andre Cisco. You do not want Andre Cisco.
You don't want to look at the screen.
No, I don't.
I'm watching it behind you, and I'm like,
I thought there was going to be a fight there for a second. The guy gets up like he wants to fight, and then I think he looked at the size of our pitcher and said, "You know what? It's not in my best interest." So he punked out. So he's got no credit over there. Just take your base, young man. Act all big and bad, and then you look at, "Ooh, yeah, I'm not gonna do that one."
I was trying to save you, yeah, because you were on a roll and you didn't pivot, and I was like, I mean,
the corner of my eye, because I got it on this TV over here. I got it over there, but I got it over there, and that's where I caught it in the corner of my eye. And so, yeah, I don't think we're tanking. I just think we got players that are struggling, or deadwood, or not coachable. And
well, in part of our conversation, Rob, that Stevie D and I had, and Stevie, you brought up, I think you heard it as well, that nobody from Detroit came with Aaron Glenn.
yes,
right?
And I got to give credit to Bart Scott. I heard it from Bart Scott, and it was a good point. I'm glad you brought it up. So the clip went on a channel called SNY. It's the Jets Rewind show that they do, and Bart said when Rex Ryan took over in New York in 2009, he brought in Trevor Price from the defensive line. He brought in Jim Leonard as a free safety, and he brought in himself as middle linebacker. So what did you do? You brought in your captain of your secondary in Jim Leonard, who is a very smart, you know him up in Buffalo, a very smart football player. Maybe not the most gifted athlete you've ever seen or come across in your life, but he was a football player. And he understood Rex Ryan's defense and can captain the ship on the back end. Then you had Bart as the mic that understood the defense and where everybody needed to be there, and he had that. And then he had Trevor Price to from the defensive line to work with our defensive line players.
Craig is hating you right now. All these names are like flashback memories for Craig, and he's just...
And so you fast forward, 16 years, and you got Aaron Glenn. He's got nobody to be that voice for him when he's not around, to be that coach on the field, to go all the plays and make sure everybody's in the right spot. So I do think that I think that was a great point by Bart Scott. Most coaches do. Robert Saleh, they traded for Bryce Huff. Right? He brought in a couple of players that we let go on defense over in San Francisco. Why? Because it helps the newer guys understand the scheme that he wants to run.
Keep my name out your mouth.
So I still wish Cohen was still a punk on that one, saying it behind your offensive lineman. You had every opportunity to go to his face to face, and you didn't do it. But at any rate, and he would have lost that battle. Big time, he would have lost that battle. So he was smart to stay behind his lineman. But I think it was a good point by Bart Scott. I do think we struggling to have those field generals that give that message of what Aaron Glenn is trying to accomplish. So I didn't think there was any players available that you would say would be a starter that we could have gotten. I thought Detroit did a really good job of retaining their talent.
Did you even make a push on Hutchinson? I mean, did you pick up the fight? You can say, hey, he's coming off an injury. not going to be the same guy. You know, I got this guy Michael Clemens. You know, he is really a go getter.
Hey, if you're going to have a fight on the field, that's the guy you want on your side, not the pass rusher.
There you go. He's a pretty boy. He's trying to become a media darling.
Exactly.
You don't need that. You want this guy.
Yeah. But yeah, no, we probably didn't do that one. But it's just sad. It's you know, I wear it like most fans on the sleeve, and the rapid reaction. It wouldn't have been a good show, and Rich was home, but I would have been dropping F-bombs. I was not in a playing mood at the end of that game, and I have to be better to check those emotions. I was just. That one bothered me against the Cowboys because of what happened, transpired before halftime. It was how embarrassing your team looked. And that game was being broadcast all over the U.S. It was in pretty much every market, unfortunately, for the Jets. And you saw the penalty to extend the drive, and they went 99 yards down your throat, and then, and then we gave it right back, and then we gave them 17 points right before halftime, or coming right after halftime. You know, it was like 3 drives, and you give up 17 points right there, and you're just like, I mean, it was like a Mike Tyson, right? When he in his prime, when he got going, boom, 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 match was over, TKO, right? And as fans, you're just like, yeah. And as that boxer that just got knocked out, you're just like, when you came back to consciousness, what the hell just happened? Right. Because, I mean, you remember that was back in the 80s, right? 90 seconds into the match.
Why do I gotta remember it back in the 80s? How come I can't be a Gen Z or whatever it is? Plus, you forget, once you cross that hill, I don't remember a lot of things anymore.
You remember Mike Tyson, I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, that I do.
There's some things you'll remember where you are with those fights, and coming together with your boys to go watch that fight on pay-per-view with somebody with a satellite antenna that was the size of a home.
The Descrambler.
Well, yes, that was before that. So that was the Descramblers came after. Before we had a friend.
Oh, you're talking about those big, huge dishes in the backyard?
Yeah, and you gotta say where I grew up, and I'm sure it's very similar where you grew up. That the property sizes were not huge.
No.
Right? So
took
you
up the whole backyard
in your backyard. It was like a half your backyard, and then when you had to move it, the noise it made to move this thing was ridiculous.
It would only go this much. Yeah.
Oh my God, unbelievable! And then you get the fight, and then the lovely Descramblers came out for $49.95, and that worked until it got zapped, and then you had to go out and get another one, but it lasted a little while. So that's a trip down memory lane. Again, Gen Zers don't know the pain and the suffering.
I will tell you, statute of limitations has expired. Time Warner, Spectrum, Bright House, all of you that are out there. So what Stevie D is referring to, this is just more history.
Yes. Or you could have paid the guy to go up on the telephone pole to make the change up there. Oh yeah.
All that good stuff.
All good stuff.
It. Now, Stevie D, one last thing. This is not a
thank you, by the way. You got me in a good mood again. So thank you for the transition. So see, now you got smiling Steve. You don't got sourpuss Steve.
So I don't know if I should go here because this is more on me than on you or you just, but as you're going through it, I just want people to know Stevie D and I were talking before the game, and I said, I don't care what you do. I know you're not a gambler. That's okay. This is my 5-star lock. Put the whole house, bet the farm. You are good. In theory, the logic was good. In theory.
I lost my home. This is my last broadcast from this house. He told me to put everything on the game.
Why do you think Stevie D's not in his normal studio?
It's all packed up.
Yeah, that is why I will never be a gambler. Never. If I bet, I'm betting $5-10, and that's it. I just can't. I can't. That's just not for me. So, Just like I would have bet on the Yankees to win Game 4.
We're not dead yet. The ghosts are going to come out. The ghosts are going to come out. We got 6 outs. All right, the ghosts are going to come out. There we go. See, that starts with ball 1. We're only down 4. It's nothing.
You're getting a live play-by-play. Okay. See, Craig?
I'm with you, Craig. I am not.
I think I am. And then when I realize I will say every year, Stevie D, I put in $100. That's it. That's my limit.
You're like in a FanDuel type thing?
Then I put in $200. I do 100 in DraftKings,
Okay.
and I do 100 for Sportsbook. The funny thing is with DraftKings, I always win. I mean, like every year, I will win week 1 or week 2. That will then allow me to subsidize the remaining 17 weeks. So I'm able to play all the way through. I won't win after that, right? And again, it happened this year. Good win. We've lost now every week. Yeah, I mean, bad losses. I mean, I'm coming in last place in our groups. And then I do the same thing on the actual sportsbook side. I'll drop in 100 when the season starts, and I hope to get a victory, right? I get a little crazy. I'll do a 10-team parlay. I'll do a 10-team parlay because I look at it and I'm like, oh, wow. If this hits, oh, man, that's going to be nice, right? Yeah, we'll be broadcasting from the new OW Sports Studios, right? And then, Sean Hockley will come in, ref a game, and just like my Bills are 1-4 when Hockley is
Almost
calling.
like they got a button to the person that's going to win the most money for that week, and they buzz in and say, we got to do some bad calls here because Vince from OW Sports is about to win $14 million, and we can't allow that to happen.
Ooh, shade. Ooh, shade.
Again, I'd rather be in this position than in your position.
Ooh. In fairness, Stevie D, his position is the Orioles have already gotten the beer and they're just waiting for you guys.
Yeah. They're going to say, hey, right here, buddy. Step up to the bar.
Yeah. All right. Well,
but before we go, though, we got one topic that we have to talk about. We didn't talk about the Arizona Cardinals. Jonathan Gannon.
Yes. He got fined today.
Yeah, $100K.
So Rob actually brought that up because he was talking about his fantasy. If you didn't see what happened, all right, hold on. I am so sick and tired, Stevie D, of these guys getting caught at the one about to cross the goal line and the defender knocking the ball out. The first time it happened, I realized a play like that was when BB knocked it out of Leon Lett's hands. Right? That was but then there was like this gap where that didn't happen. And then with the showboating, cockiness, trying to floss, pop collars, all of that, these guys think it's so cool. And they started to drop the ball at the one.
Yeah. Why? I have no idea.
Go in the end zone. And then we've seen this. At what point does a player realize, let me just cross the line, and why do I need to drop the ball? What are you doing? So what happened? The fine, I mean, he was absolutely lambasted on the sideline by his coach. And I don't have a problem with it. I do not have one. Depending on how I was feeling at that moment, I may have told you to go to the locker room, take off your uniform, and you're done. So I really don't have a problem with it. But it was the actions that happened after that. So I'll let you handle that one, Stevie D.
I couldn't believe what I witnessed on the sideline where he was basically almost punching him in the stomach. And then as he was walking away, was still hitting him in the stomach. And I'll tell you, the restraint by that player, I don't even think he gave it a second to look at hitting the coach back. I think he was still numb to the fact that he did what he did and cost his team a touchdown, that he was in another world. And I think he heard what his coach was saying in the beginning, and then, like my son, he tunes me out, right? So he was tuned out, probably wasn't, he knew he was getting hit, but he was so in another world. But even with that, I'm speculating because I don't know, but for him to stay calm in the chaos, to not react by even just yelling back at the coach or turning around, getting back into his face, you have to give that football player all the credit in the world. Because if a player did that to a coach,
You are correct.
oh my God, what would have happened to that player? The $100,000 fine is not acceptable from the league. He should be suspended without pay.
Was that
And
the
it should
league?
be a lengthy
Was
suspension.
that the league or was that the team?
That was the league at $100,000.
Okay.
He should be suspended because if a player put their hands on a coach, one, he'd probably be suspended by the team if not cut, and probably would be suspended by the league by putting their hands on a coach. Why is it acceptable the other way? I'm very disappointed in the NFL and the Arizona Cardinals to not step up and doing that. His apology, okay, great, whatever. I thought there was some hints there where, for me, when you say we all made mistakes, that's crap. No, the only mistake that was made is you. Because a mistake on the football field of a fumble, whether it's dropping the ball before the goal line, whether it's an interception, whether it's a missed tackle, a penalty on a crucial third down, mistake does not nowhere near. He needed to keep that out and needed to just focus on the apology to the player, to the team, to the front office, and to the fans, because you embarrassed your football team with those actions. And I think it's disgusting. And if I'm the PA, again, we go back to the PA, that should have a conversation with the league and saying, I don't understand why he's not suspended. I don't understand why. Then don't come at me for when my player hits a player late and now you're going to suspend that guy for that hit. Or my player throws hands on another player and you're going to kick my guy out of the game. Because obviously you're allowing people to put hands on somebody and not do anything.
Well,
Yeah, it is.
well, wait till the precedent comes back and a player pushes or hits a coach. Okay. We've seen it in the reverse, and you eloquently put it out there. Now the reverse. Now what happens?
Right. I just think it's so. I cannot believe that he didn't get suspended. When I saw the 100K, I said, really, 100K? He'd probably get the Arizona Cardinals to pay for it, right? And again, I look back at the Arizona Cardinals. Where's your backbone? Where are you sticking up for the current roster and suspending your coach?
So,
because if you would suspend me for stuff detrimental to the team, we've seen it in all sports where players get suspended for detrimental conduct against the team. Why isn't it now we don't do that for a head coach that he went so far past the line you can't even see the line?
So here's a question to you. This is now the second time this year that we've had controversy with a coach in the NFL. And each time we thought or we expect that there would be some level of a greater fine or suspension. First one I'm going back to is Jeff Ulbrich. Jeff Ulbrich left his iPad unlocked, exposed, that not only had team sensitive information, it had player sensitive, and that's what started the whole Shedeur Sanders prank phone call. You would have expected a harsher penalty for a coach. Now, this was not hands-on, but this was the NFL's chance to be able to say, this is unacceptable. Now, to your point, another coach, this time a head coach, puts his hands on a player on the field. So it's not like this is behind closed doors, on the field. You talk about protecting the shield, protecting the brand. Your $100,000 says that's okay. That is the same. One more thing.
Yeah.
That type of penalty is the same as a personal foul penalty or taunting or something along those lines. When a player does this, or Josh made to get and you get fined. That's the same. It's in the same category. Look at the dollar values.
Jeff Ulbrich gets charged $250,000 because he left an iPad in his house unlocked and his kid did a boneheaded thing. This guy put his hands on a player and was punching him or whatever he was doing in the midsection. He gets $100,000. How is that even possible? If Ulbrich gets $250,000, Gannon should be $500,000.
Yep.
Because Ulbrich, I don't think should have been fined $250,000, but I don't have a problem with it. It was a mistake. You're in your own home. You don't think that your kid's going to do something stupid, right? So I can't. I struggle, but it was. This is so much worse than that, and you get $100,000 and no suspension, and that's why I have a problem with the team and I have a problem with the league.
Well put.
And you're putting your coaches saying that stuff's acceptable. Because $100,000 is nothing. Like I said, the team will probably pick it up. Well, so what are we really doing here? And that's the disgusting part. And I wanted to make sure, because we had so much to talk about in the beginning, that I wanted to make sure that we did talk about that, because it's just disgusting. I don't know how else to put it.
Oh, one more thing that we need to talk about. How Sean McDermott, Bobby Babbage, and Brandon Beane and Joe Brady have still got my blood boiling. That's all I got.
Okay.
All right, Stevie D. That's going to wrap this one up. We appreciate everybody for jumping in. Good conversation for all that jumped in on the chats. Again, I've already told you, Stevie D, his rapid reaction, I think, is 50-50. Are we still there? I can tell you, mine is, you already know my schedule. And we already know Stevie D's participation will not be there, right? So just putting it out there. If we lose, we will have a rapid reaction. If we win, I'm going to bed.
Well, I can tell you this rapid reaction, Austin Wells, you piece of. Well, the Ghost didn't come out today in the 8th inning. I thought we were going to get it here in the 8th, but no. It will be an early rapid reaction, that's for sure. Because we're in London.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I hate that game.
You're not lying. I can't. I'm not going to have my wings at 8:30 in the morning. The game starts at 8:30 here, and for me in the Central Time Zone. So.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
And I think Lamar's out this week. That's what what I'm seeing. He's out again.
You should have been on after week 1. Just saying.
You should have been on before week 1.
Some people, they have to let things settle down. And, I think Craig knows that, as I get older, I start forgetting about things. Maybe he's thinking later on in the season I would forget about week 1. Yeah. All right, Stevie D. Then tea and crumpets. Biscuits and tea. Is that what we're doing?
Scones. Don't they do scones over there or something like
You
that?
know,
Fish and scones or something. I don't know.
some strawberries and cream. Get it all. Hey, if you're gonna have the experience, go big. Go big. Don't shortchange yourself.
Not for nothing, but I was in England twice, but the second time I went, it was too early. The international games are too late. I could have been there for one of the games, but I don't think they were doing the international games as much as they're doing today.
All right, I gotta call Mrs. D. We're gonna go on a mission. If you're still watching the podcast, if you have any ideas, please send it in the chat. We have got to design the game time menu for your viewing pleasure. But it has got to have an authentic English type theme.
Well, I can tell you, I cannot go buy English muffins. You want to know why? Because they don't call them English muffins in England. They call them muffins. So I'm over there, and there's a place called Nando's, and they do chicken. And they tell me they're ordering lunch, and they said, "Well, what do you want?" And they said, "I'm looking at the menu." I said, "Oh, I'll take the chicken on the English muffin." And the lady, who was definitely older than me, I don't know if she had a problem with me because I'm from the States and I'm from New York. I don't know. I was sensing a little something. She goes, with a dead straight face, she says, we don't call it an English muffin. We call it a muffin. You're in England." I was like, "Oh God, okay, my bad." I was like, "Okay, lady." So yeah.
This is the guy that goes to Paris for. I'd like to order French toast, please. I'd like
Well, what am I supposed to get? Toast?
I like French fries with my French toast.
Well, first of all, the French stole the fry and the waffle from Belgium. So I'm just saying, yes, maybe I got to change the approach, no doubt. But I'm just saying the French stole those two items and claimed it as their own.
But we still have got to get your pregame or your game time
I
with
don't know
an
what to
English
do.
theme.
I don't know what to do, and I agree. We got to change the approach. Absolutely, absolutely. What do I do? I mean, I don't know what.
Maybe you have a pint of Guinness
Ooh,
during
heavy.
the game. It's
Well,
game time, baby.
I'll give everybody a sneak peek. I could grab something from there. So if you wanted to see the bar,
But you need a pint of Guinness. That's what you need. You need to change the whole thing, make it a pub type thing. Yeah, that's what Craig is saying. Change your approach.
I can't do Guinness. That thing's too heavy. I'll sink to the bottom of the ocean with that thing.
All we're saying, if you're still on, Stevie D needs help. Post to Jets Hanger.
You know what, Craig? I got it. We're gonna make your fajita recipe at 8:30 in the morning. That's it.
What does that have to do with England?
It has nothing to do with England. Those fajitas are freaking ridiculous. Okay.
Okay, so that's when you come back from England. While you're in England, it has to be an English theme. You can't have chicken wings. No, it has to be an English
Okay,
theme.
so I can have warm beer. Is that what you're saying? Drink warm beer and eat food with no taste?
Okay, now, let me do the disclaimer. Those comments are strictly that of Stevie D. Do not reflect the opinions of OW Sports, Official Word Sports. Okay, just have to put that out there. All right. Well, we were trying it quietly. If you do have any ideas on a pregame meal or for a game meal while his Jets are over there in London, shoot it over to us. Let us know.
Shepherd's pie.
All right.
Shepherd's pie.
All
You
right.
do a shepherd's pie.
There you go. There you go. So you can talk to Mrs. D. At least, that way you'll kind of feel like you're there.
All right, perfect. I'll make the shepherd's pie. I'll put it into the new outdoor pizza oven that I got. I'll cook it on that thing. I'm changing everything. I'm going to have to bring the Italian thing into the mix.
I'm gonna say this right here. We're gonna wrap this up, but if you're still there, just follow me here. You ever notice when you're having a conversation with somebody and they're like, well, I went to this party and Jordan was there and Barkley, Michael, and Charles. Yeah, oh yeah, I was there. And then last week I was there with Ewing and Bird. And you're like, wow, you're hanging out with all these people. They just like to name drop, right? They just like Stevie D has changed from the name drop now to the item drop. So
yeah, pizza oven, baby. Got to get the Italian pizza oven going.
First, he introduced us to a whole new room. Look at the 4 TV set there. You got the big screen over there. You got the video game. You look at the lighting, the ceiling. We're like, wow, right? And then he starts talking about the pizza oven. And then he wants to give us a tour of his fully stocked bar.
Well, you brought up the alcohol.
I brought a beer. There's no beer over on that shelf.
It's in the fridge.
Yeah, why don't you just take us over there and open up the fridge? Make it like MTV Cribs. No. We're good. we're good. Do you see what I have to deal with over here? You see this guy? This is what happens when you're a big baller. Shot caller.
That's how I roll, man. That's how I roll.
All right.
I got to do something when my team is 0-5.
Fair enough. I will. I'll let you have that one. All right, everybody. Again, we do appreciate it. Every Wednesday, check us out, 8 p.m. We did talk about the rapid reactions. You know the deal. So if you don't see it on, don't get mad. You understand. Hopefully, we're not on. Aside from that, some exciting things coming up, and just some constant changes, and just try to make the content good. All right. For my co-host Stevie D, this is Vince. We'll talk to you soon.